I guess one of the things in your book, and again, it's like it's surprisingly raw, and I was like, "Yes, girl, that's
Ah.
great." You got into the decision, like the process of making the decision to not have children,
Mm,
and I thought how incredible that you shared that with everybody because it is a really hot topic button for everyone. Like everyone feels like should have an opinion on
mm.
everyone's life and that there is one path and if it's team no kids, like that's the only way and
Right.
and moms are terrible. And then if it's stay-at-home moms, it's like, oh well those women don't know what they're missing out on and we're not understanding that everyone has different needs. And I think the process that you went through was incredible. You talk about kind of opening up that can of worms and being so honest with each other. Like when you shared Tom's response and he was like, listen, I'll obviously love those kids, but I'm not going to be home for every dinner. I'm not going to sacrifice my work ethic. I'm not going to be available to you or them like all of these hours a week. And I was like, wow, what a strong relationship you guys must have, even at that point, to
Mm.
have that brutal honesty, because he obviously trusted you enough to tell you that and not like if I tell her that she's going to go off the handles and it's going to cause this thing. And then you trusted him back to like go through your process. And I think so many couples could benefit from that. It's almost like when you have these really monumental topics that every couple needs to know where the other one stands on, right? Like if you're building a life together, you absolutely need to know like marriage, kids, careers, like where do we align on these values, principles? But we kind of gloss over them because we're like, ooh, I don't know what they're going to say. And what we have right now is great and I don't want to ruin it. So what have you and Tom done to like create that safe space to where you are so trusting that you can have that brutal honesty with each other?
Yeah, such a great question, girl. It really comes from, firstly, you have to just agree on the goal.
Mhm.
Because do we align on that we're both trying to achieve the same thing? And what does that actually look like? So, yes, we want to be married for the rest of our lives, but happily married for the rest of our lives. So we go, okay, do we agree? We both want to be married happily for the rest of our lives. Yes. Okay, great. What are the things that we need to agree now so that if they come up, when it comes up, that we both are able to do it? So, first of all, saying the hard things. Even if you think you're going to upset me, I need you to be honest with me. Do we agree on that? Yes. Great. So now you've put all these rules, quote unquote, down so that when there's something that I have to tell my husband that I'm like, he's not going to like this. Like I am literally, maybe it's like, oh my God, this is such a beautiful time of our lives. And do you want to rock the boat? Right? It's like, well, actually, we've just made a promise to each other. And that promise is that I will say the hard thing because we both agree that saying the hard thing is going to get us a happy, lasting, long relationship. So we make these small agreements. Another thing is language. Language that you guys use really matter. So knowing, because if I say to you, for instance, you know what, I really promise you I'm going to do that. You might go, okay, cool. And then if I don't, maybe it's not a big deal to you. But you may not know. The word promise, I say 4 times a year in my life, 4, 5 times a year, maybe each year. So you better know when I say promise, I will freaking kill myself. I'll cut off my right arm to make sure that I do that. But if someone else doesn't carry that same weight to that word, what happens is maybe now you tell me you promise. And I'm like, oh, wow, she's just said promise. That's a big deal to me. But imagine you say it 30 times a day because it's not a big deal to you. That's not a reflection of whether you're a good human or a bad human. It's not a reflection of whether I'm a good human or a bad human or whether I'm right or you're right. It really just says we come from different perspectives and our interpretation of this word is something different. So let's get aligned because now at least you will know if I say to you, hey, promise really means a lot to me. Maybe now you're going to be more careful about using it around me because now you understand how I perceive it. Or maybe you don't agree with that word. Did you ever see the movie 4 Christmases with Reese Witherspoon?
Yes.
Do you remember the mistletoe? Where it's like, if I say this word mistletoe, it means we get the hell out of here.
Yep.
So it's like having code words, but having literally an entire dictionary of words where you define what each means. So that's another thing. So for instance, coming back to the whole, the kids question, When I said to Tom, babe, I really need to talk to you. This is important. He already knows because we've already established what that word means. So immediately, he already has heard what I'm about to talk to him about is really meaningful to me. So having those languages, setting yourself up for having these discussions, setting yourself up for a space where they know, hey, this may be a hard thing, but remember we both promised that we were going to say the honest and truthful thing. Mm-hmm. So having those established at the beginning of a relationship, or like as you get tighter and tighter, obviously, you don't want to say that on the first date. Hey, look, this is what it's going to mean when I say this, right? You don't necessarily want those on the first date. So the dictionary thing. And so that was the foundation of building a relationship so you can have these